Hi everyone. I'd like to say thank you to Kathy for inviting us here today. It's been a long journey. Please forgive me because I'm very nervous. On Friday the 22nd of January, Mummy went for her dialysis. She was on dialysis for about 2 years before that. Her dialysis had went down. She was going Monday, Wednesday and Friday, but she was doing so well on dialysis. She was then put down to 1 day. She was on the dialysis, so she got a new lease of life. She was feeling great. She loved getting away in the camper, going to the beach, her and my dad together. Sorry, I'm struggling here a bit. Moving back to the 22nd of January, after Mummy had her dialysis treatment, the nurse gave her a brown envelope with a form inside for her to take home over the weekend to decide whether she wanted to take the vaccine or not. Mummy had said to us that she didn't want it. We had all said to Mummy also that we didn't want her to take it. She went back on the Monday morning, the 25th of January. Mummy took the form with her and said she didn't want it. The nurse had said to Mummy if she didn't take the vaccine, it may affect her from getting her treatment. So Mum then thought she didn't want to not be able to get the dialysis, so she took the vaccine there and then. She got the vaccine, got her dialysis treatment. Mum then started walking out to the car. Daddy was sitting in the car park waiting for her. She got into the car, feeling very tired, and Daddy also knew there was something wrong. He asked her what was wrong. She said she had got the vaccine, and we were all gutted. They came down to my house that day, and I knew just by looking at Mummy that there was something wrong. She looked very pale and very sick. Obviously, she told me she had taken the vaccine. So then they left and went back home. Oh, I don't know how I'm going to do this. They left and went back home. Mummy went to bed where she was feeling very sick. That evening she started to vomit and diarrhoea. She couldn't get out of bed. The same thing happened on the Tuesday morning. She was vomiting blood, and obviously her diarrhoea had blood in it as well. The Wednesday morning, the 27th, my dad called me and said he thinks that Mummy was taking a stroke. I went straight down the road. When I went into the house and seen Mum, her mouth was all twisted and her tongue was in spasm. We phoned for an ambulance. It took the ambulance about an hour for her to get there. Mum headed off to the hospital in the ambulance. Before that, the paramedics, I had said that she had got her vaccine on the Monday, and he said straight away that it wouldn't be nothing to do with the vaccine. She headed off to the hospital at 11:30. For the rest of the day, she sat in the corridor on a trolley by herself with her mouth still twisted and her tongue in spasm and her whole body in a full body shake. Mum had to wait all them hours for a COVID test to come back clear. At 8 p.m. that evening, Mummy phoned me to say to come and collect her. We went up and collected her from the hospital. After the doctor said that it was a reaction from the vaccine and for her not to get another COVID vaccine because it would kill her. We took Mum home. We had to help her into the car first. We took her home and she went straight back to bed. She was very ill. She couldn't eat. She was constantly vomiting blood and diarrhoea. It was very hard for us as a family to watch. Mummy just lay in bed, fading away. She then ended up back in hospital again. This all happened within 4 weeks of her taking the vaccine. She had so many things wrong with her. The doctors couldn't tell us what was wrong with her. She took an infection in the bowel that spread over the bowel wall into her bloodstream. Very shaky. She was taking palpitations in her heart. She ended up in a bed with a diaper on. She couldn't eat or drink. She was constantly vomiting blood. And also with the diarrhoea, it was constant blood coming out of her. They did say that they would put a feeding tube in. They put a feeding tube in 3 days before Mummy passed away. With all of that happened, within 4 weeks, Mummy had lost up on 5.5, 6 stone. Obviously, we haven't had any answers to this. The morning that Mummy was passing away, the day before that, on the Thursday, she was in the hospital and they phoned us to say that we could come up and see Mum, as they had to take her down for the camera test to see why her stomach was bleeding so bad. They took her down and she had a bust ulcer in her stomach. Her spleen was busted and the whole lining of her stomach was bleeding. She was bleeding from everywhere. It was like razor blades pumped into her body. We were able to stay there that night only because we fought to stay there, to stay with Mum. Mum had so many morphine injections pumped into her that it still didn't take away the pain. Myself and my family took the camper up to stay in the car park that night so that we could all take turns. There was only myself, my dad and my 2 brothers that were allowed in to see her. Daddy felt unwell that morning about 6 o'clock and he said he needed to go home to lie down. So he went off home with my brother. Myself and my children and my partner stayed. And I said to the wee nurse that I was going down to the camper to put my head down for an hour to give me a ring if anything happened. I phoned in at 8:30 and asked how Mummy was doing, and they said they needed me up the stairs right away as Mummy was taking her last breaths. They couldn't even phone me to tell me. So myself and my son run up the stairs to be with Mummy. But first, we had to wait about 10 minutes to get our PPE gear on from head to toe. They wouldn't let my son in either, but I took him by the hand and I pulled him in with me. As we entered, Mummy had took her last 3 breaths. There is more to that story, but unfortunately, I'm just very nervous and I have forgotten most of it.
Debbie, you've done absolutely brilliantly, and I want to go stand. Well done, my darling. Well done. You're a brave girl, and your mommy will be proud looking down upon you.
Yeah.
I think what Debbie hadn't mentioned is that on 2 occasions that you had taken mommy to the A&E, it was both A&E doctors that actually confirmed this was vaccine damage. 2 A&E doctors that is vaccine damaged.
Yeah.
But your voice has been heard, and Teresa's voice is speaking beyond the grave. And we will be seeking justice for this family and for Teresa. So,
Yeah. Thank you.
you're very welcome.
Thank you.
Very lovely here.